Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions. The mystery of the electric universe theory. Is everything we know about gravity wrong? Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. The standard model of cosmology requires that 96% of the universe consist of substances that have never been directly observed. Dark matter, assigned 27% of the cosmos, has not been detected despite decades of dedicated experiments. Dark energy, given the remaining 69%, is inferred entirely from the expansion rate of the universe and has no confirmed physical mechanism. A growing group of physicists and engineers argues this dependence on undetectable substances is a sign that the standard model is fundamentally wrong. They call their alternative the electric universe. The central claim is that plasma physics, not gravity, governs the large-scale structure of the cosmos. Plasma makes up approximately 99.9% of all visible matter in the universe, conducts electricity, and generates magnetic fields. Electric universe theorists argue that the filamentary structure of the cosmos, the behavior of galaxies, and the surface features of planets can all be explained by electrical forces operating across vast distances through currents flowing through plasma. Birkeland currents, electrical currents flowing along magnetic field lines through space, have been confirmed by satellite measurement in near-Earth space. The question the electric universe community asks is whether those currents scale up to cosmic proportions. If they do, does the universe need dark matter at all? This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the expanding frontier of unexplained cosmic phenomena, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Space is not quiet. The universe is filled with electromagnetic signals, from the cosmic microwave background radiation left over from the Big Bang to the steady roar of stellar activity at every wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum. Against this noise, radio astronomers look for something specific, signals that are narrowband, repeating, and structured, the signatures of intelligence rather than nature. Natural processes tend to produce broadband emissions spread across many frequencies. A narrowband signal at a single precise frequency suggests something deliberately tuned, and deliberate tuning implies a tuner. The search for such signals has been ongoing since 1960, when Frank Drake pointed a radio telescope at two nearby stars and listened. In the 60-plus years since, the instrumentation has grown enormously in sensitivity, and the sky survey coverage has expanded from a handful of stars to millions. The verdict so far is ambiguous. No confirmed, repeating signal from an extraterrestrial intelligence has been received, but several anomalous signals have been detected, investigated, and not definitively explained, including at least one that, had it been received today, would meet every criterion the scientific community had previously agreed would constitute first contact. The silence of the cosmos is not total. It is merely inscrutable. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns, in science, demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the electric universe theory is everything we know about gravity wrong, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail: the electric universe theory developed through the work of Ralph Huygens, an American engineer, who in the 1970s proposed that the sun was electrically powered rather than driven by internal nuclear fusion. While Thornhill, an Australian physicist, and David Talbot, an American mythologist, later expanded Huygens's electrical framework into a comprehensive cosmological model, presenting it through the Thunderbolts project via books, videos, and annual conferences. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered plasma constitutes approximately 99.9% of all visible matter in the observable universe. Unlike solid, liquid, and gaseous states of matter, plasma is an ionized gas in which electrons have been stripped from atoms, creating a highly electrically conductive medium. Stars, nebulae, and the vast intergalactic filaments connecting galaxy clusters are all composed of plasma. Standard cosmological models treat cosmic-scale plasma as passive background governed primarily by gravity. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine Birkeland currents. Electrical currents that flow along magnetic field lines through plasma were theorized by Norwegian scientist Christian Birkeland in 1903 and confirmed by satellite measurement in the 1970s. These currents are real, measurable phenomena in near-Earth space. The aurora borealis is a visible consequence of Birkeland currents from the Sun interacting with Earth's magnetosphere. Electric universe theorists argue Birkeland currents operate at all scales, from the magnetosphere to the intergalactic medium. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation. But the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, the dark matter hypothesis was introduced to explain why galaxies rotate at speeds inconsistent with the amount of visible matter they contain. In the standard model, a galaxy's outer stars should orbit more slowly than inner stars, as planets do around the Sun, but observations show all stars orbit at roughly constant speed. Dark matter was proposed as invisible mass, providing the additional gravitational pull. Extensive searches, including LUX and Panda X, have not detected a dark matter particle. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of Eric Lerner, an American physicist, developed plasma cosmology, related to but distinct from the electric universe, arguing the Big Bang did not occur and the universe is infinitely old and electrically structured. Lerner published The Big Bang Never Happened in 1991. His model can explain some aspects of large-scale cosmic structure, but cannot account for the cosmic microwave background radiation, which mainstream physics regards as definitive evidence for the Big Bang. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding. The Thunderbolts project, founded by Wal Thornhill and David Talbot, is the primary institutional voice of the electric universe. It produces YouTube content, books, and annual conferences, attracting hundreds of thousands of viewers. The EU community includes electrical engineers, plasma physicists, and independent researchers, but the framework has not produced a primary theoretical paper in a major peer-reviewed astrophysics journal. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations. And in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the electric universe theory. Is everything we know about gravity wrong? This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that electromagnetic forces, not gravity, dominate the universe at all scales, while Thornhill and David Talbot argue that galactic rotation curves, cosmic filaments, and planetary surface features can all be explained by scaled-up plasma electrical dynamics, eliminating the need for dark matter or dark energy. Critics point out that EU produces no quantitative mathematical predictions testable against precise observations, making it unfalsifiable rather than a scientific theory in the conventional sense. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the lambda-CDM model, cold dark matter plus dark energy plus general relativity, best fits all available cosmological observations. Mainstream astrophysics accepts that dark matter and dark energy are unexplained, but insists they are compelled by multiple independent lines of evidence: galaxy rotation curves, gravitational lensing, large-scale cosmic structure, and the cosmic microwave background. The absence of a detected dark matter particle is a puzzle, but does not invalidate the model's predictive power. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the Big Bang never occurred, and the universe is infinitely old and electrically structured. Eric Lerner's plasma cosmology, while related to the electric universe, focuses on cosmological timescales and proposes the cosmic microwave background as an alternative explanation in plasma processes. Mainstream cosmologists reject this because plasma cosmology cannot reproduce the precise temperature and anisotropy spectrum of the CMB, predicted by Big Bang theory with extraordinary precision and measured by WMAP and Planck satellites. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the electric universe theory, is everything we know about gravity wrong, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes Birkeland currents are real and confirmed. Electrical currents flowing through near-Earth plasma are not disputed by mainstream science. What EU theorists assert, that these currents scale to galaxy-spanning proportions explaining galactic structure, is disputed. Scaling plasma dynamics from magnetospheric to cosmic distances introduces physical conditions differing by many orders of magnitude, and EU has not produced a working mathematical model demonstrating how this scaling operates. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented plasma laboratory experiments can produce Z-pinch formations, structures compressed by magnetic fields that visually resemble galaxy spirals and stellar nebulae. EU theorists cite these as evidence the same mechanism operates in space. Critics respond that visual similarity is not physical equivalence. Laboratory experiments operate at pressures, densities, and field strengths differing from cosmic conditions by many trillions of times, and no validated scaling law connecting the two regimes exists. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed gravitational wave detection by LIGO in 2015 directly confirmed a prediction of general relativity, waves in spacetime produced by merging black holes, that the electric universe framework does not accommodate. EU theorists either dispute the interpretation of LIGO data or argue black holes do not exist, positions placing them in direct contradiction with a result replicated across dozens of separate events and confirmed independently by the Virgo and Cagra detectors. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the electric universe theory. Is everything we know about gravity wrong? Now we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The electric universe is not accepted in peer-reviewed astrophysics, but it speaks to genuine frustrations with the standard model's reliance on undetected substances. Dark matter has still not been directly observed despite decades of experimental effort, and this real puzzle keeps alternative models alive in public discourse. The Thunderbolts project continues producing content for large audiences who find EU's visual approach to cosmic plasma more intuitive than the mathematics of lambda CDM. Some plasma physicists sympathize with aspects of EU's treatment of space plasma while rejecting its cosmological claims. The model's core weakness is its inability to produce quantitative predictions testable against astronomical measurement. EU correctly identifies plasma as cosmically important. Mainstream astrophysics agrees on that, but has not demonstrated electromagnetic forces supersede gravity at galactic scales. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the electric universe theory. Is everything we know about gravity wrong? From the historical record, through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of electric universe ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process, and the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please subscribe to the channel. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment below telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.